Alright, hello YouTube, Mucklick here, and today I want to talk about some upcoming games that aren't out yet. Currently, there is a thing going on, for those of you that do not know, called Steam Next Fest, where lots of developers, a lot of indie ones, are basically posting demos of their games that you can download and play for free, and they are hoping that you like what you see, and that you would then wishlist their game on Steam so that you get notified when the game comes out. And there is dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of games on here. And some of them are sequels to well-known games, and some of them are like, you know, maybe developers' first game. And we have spent about, let's see, 5 hours, so 10 hours total playing tons of demos. And we spent 30 minutes to an hour on each one, some longer than others, and some I put down pretty quick. Now, there are some that I didn't care for. Maybe it was kind of a mess, and it's an early access version, or maybe it just wasn't for me. I don't want to talk about those, because there's no sense in doing that. I want to talk about the ones, I want to tell you about the ones that I really enjoyed, and just share them with you. That's it, because, you know, for some of these indie devs, it's their first game. They're really hoping it works out. I have a little bit of a platform, and so I wanted to share with you guys the ones that I really liked. So, without further ado, let's just start with, in what in my eyes was a banger, All Will Fall. This, for me, is one of those games where I will play it, and I'll be like, okay, one more thing, and then I'm like, oh god, it's freaking 4 a.m., I stayed up all night again. This game is Stranded Alien Dawn, which is kind of like RimWorld, in an environment that is like the game Raft, and it has physics. So if you build in a stupid manner, your stuff will fall down. And it also kind of has like a dash of Against the Storm in it. So if you liked any of those games, you might like this one. I had to tear myself away from this demo. This was really fun, but like you can, it's a colony simulator, okay? You start out on a boat that just like smashes into this, a little outcropping. It's as if, the world is flooded and there's like some skyscrapers. You found basically a section with very tall buildings that are barely peeking out of the water. And as the tide goes up or goes down, more of the levels of the buildings become accessible, and you can harvest, fish schools for food, or a pile of junk to get things like plastic and metal, and things like that. And, maybe there's a sealed off area and you need to do some modest demolition to get in there. Maybe people join your colony and they were criminals and you've got to punish them and things like that. There's also maybe a dash of like Frostpunk 2, where you have to do a little bit of like legislation. Like you might have a slave trader pull up to your colony and be like, hey, you want to buy a slave? And you could be like, oh my god, just kill this man. Or you could be like, yeah, I'll buy one. Or you could be like, oh, do you want one of my people? I'll sell you one of mine. And all of these will change. Like it might get you money, but then people lose trust in you and they're like, yo, you are psycho. Stuff like that. But I had to tear myself away from this one. This was extremely addicting for me as someone who loved Against the Storm and Stranded Alien Dawn. This scratched that same itch. And then the physics thing was fun too. Also, you may have noticed when, during this little cutscene thing, if you have something massive that collapses, it will pop, if you're playing like on the lower difficulties, it will have a thing like, are you sure you want to commit to that? And you can hit undo. So if you just destroyed like some massive structure you made, you can hit undo that last action. I don't know if there's like a higher difficulty where that undo button is taken away, but on the demo that button was there. But really, really enjoyed All Will Fall. Okay, next one, AFTERBLAST. This one was kind of cute. I had two separate devs over the course of the Steam Next Fest. They came into my chat and was like, hey, would you try my game? And it was really cute. And I was like, if your game is similar to games I think that my community would enjoy, I would love to. Let me take a look. One of them was kind of like a school not a dating sim. It was like a visual novel and like going to college or something. And I very politely was like, I don't really think this is for me. I'm sorry. And they were very understanding about that. And then the other one was AFTERBLAST. AFTERBLAST kind of reminded me of Risk of Rain. So you go in here, but it's an FPS though, but it's not PvP. It's solo or co-op. And you go in here and you're in these rooms and you fight for your life. and you get monsters low, and you can do these like chain in and executions and stuff like that. It's very action packed, and you find boxes that you can open up, and the boxes will have passives like every 5 feet you run, a scythe will fly out from you and hit a nearby enemy. Yeah, stuff like that. And you can stack as many of these as you can find. There's no limit to the passives. And then there's active abilities you can find, like throw grenade. You know, that's a really simple one. Or release attack drone, where it'll fight for you like a pet for a few seconds. And you can have 2 active abilities and infinite passives, as many as you can find. And I was playing this, and I was going through the rooms. A few people said it reminded them of Ultra Kill. I haven't played that, so I'm just telling you what they said. But like the boss fight, especially at the end of the demo, was extremely engaging. I just like I couldn't talk while I was fighting it. I was like completely locked in. It became kind of like bullet hell. You could see a few clips of one of the boss fights right here, but it became kind of like a bullet hell. And then, you know, the way that you get health back is by doing like those chain executions on ads. So it's like you'd be fighting the boss, and then like a wave of ads would come in, and you try to take them down and execute them and get some health back and stuff like that. And it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. So AFTERBLAST was the second one that I wanted to talk about. The third one, now if we're rating fun, where I'm like, it's fine, or I liked it, I loved it, oh my god, it's so addicting, I can't put it down. This one, I liked it, okay? That's where it is on the fun meter for me. Decks of the Damned. It's very interesting. It is a card game. However, the cards represent things moving around in the world. So like the rabbit cards move around and run away from you and stuff like that. You've got control of all your stuff on the board. And you can see like here, he's putting blood and bones on the altar, and then the vampire puts the vampire card on it, and it combines those things in order to make a summoned skeleton. Putting the swords on the skeletons gives skeleton with swords. And you find all these crazy combinations of things you can do. Like you can combine rope with your vampire. You play a vampire with your workbench, and it'll make a net. And then if during the daytime, your vampire card goes into the coffin, and you can't control it. And if a vampire hunter comes toward you and hits one of the net cards, then they can get caught, and you can wake up and then nom 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 turn them into a vampire. And there's just all these weird combinations that you can find. Like, you know, you could take extra anything, put it on the alchemy table, and it turns to gold. You know, you can put a vampire in a tree, and over time it'll turn into logs because he chopped it down. And it was both an interesting card game, but also more than that. You know, and it was like nothing I had ever played. I don't know if there's other games of this genre before, but it was completely new to me. I liked it, I had fun, and it was really engaging and very interesting. So that was another one that I thought was really neat, and it was unique. Another one that I played was Beyond the Map. This one, I have a small concern that this is a ripoff of Valheim, but I'm not 100%, but I did enjoy it, so I want to tell you about it, and I'll let you guys be the deciding factor. So one is very similar to V Rising. It is a an open world survival RPG. But it is like got this top-down camera angle, kind of like V Rising or other ARPGs do. You gather resources, and you gather stuff. You build a base. Now, here's what I'm talking about. Like, look, the charcoal kiln, the smelter, like they look exactly like Valheim. The thatched roofs, like all that stuff. And so I was kind of like, man, this feels like I'm playing Valheim, but with a different camera angle. Like you find tin by the river, you go into the forest as like the first area outside of the starter zone, and it's got copper. It is procedurally generated, so the world changes every time you do a run. But here's where it starts to get different. As you defeat monsters, they will drop abilities. One of the coolest ones I found in the newbie zone was from a turtle called a Turtle's Wisdom. And it was a passive thing. And basically, while you had it on, it was every second that you're not in combat, you gain a stack of wisdom. As soon as you enter combat, your first attack will consume all those stacks and increase in damage by like 5% per stack. And it stacked it up to like 100. So your first hit when you enter combat would hit like a truck and use all of those buffs. And when you start out, you choose a background. And if you choose, like I was in the Marines, then when you die and respawn and you would drop all your gear, you keep your weapon. You have a death grip on your weapon. If you were a scholar, you're smarter with your tools, I guess. Your tools take longer to degrade, and also once per 15 minutes, you can teleport back home. Very powerful ability. And there was one that was like, I used to be a pirate, and he has an ability called like grab it and run, and he has like a massive speed boost button on a cooldown. But whenever he picks up loot, the cooldown shortens like by 5 seconds or something like that. And as you can see, there's a lot of loot here, which, it almost looks like Diablo as far as loot goes. Like, you kill monsters or craft stuff. And then there's these skill trees thing. So, like, you have this spider web of open slots, and you can put your abilities anywhere, and there's a free reset. So, like, if I put a skill here, and then put a passive there and a passive there, like the Turtle's Wisdom, if I put it right here, it would affect these 4 active skills. This is some kind of, like, arrow or spear thrust. That's a sword slash. I didn't see those two. I'm not sure what that is. But see, you can put these things here and then connect them. Again, monsters having 1-star or 2-star or 3-star to show how powerful they are, that's a Valheim thing. So again, well, yeah, but these monsters do look very different from Valheim. You know, there was no waves of undead in the newbie area in Valheim, so that is different. Again, just some very crazy similarities. But I played this one for like an hour and a half. I had a lot of fun. I think my kid would love it because he loves survival, open world RPGs. We played Valheim together. We played V Rising together, Grounded together, a bit of Enshrouded, stuff like that. I think you would like it. But this was very enjoyable. I don't know if they ripped off a few things from Valheim or not, but it was very enjoyable, and I did have fun playing it. Okay, the next one. You ever hear an idea of a game and it sounds like the stupidest freaking thing you've ever heard? And then you try it and you're like, God damn it, this is kind of fun. Welcome to Ball X Pit. So Ball X Pit is about a city called Valhalla. And Valhalla gets hit by a giant ball meteor. And it gets destroyed. Also, it's apparently pride-colored. It makes a gigantic pit in the ground. Now, instead of deciding to leave, the survivors are like, we're going to rebuild our city over the pit on an elevator. Because that's a good idea. And from time to time, we're gonna... is Bulbalon? My apologies. Valhalla's where you go when you die. Bulbalon was the city. Thank you, chat. So occasionally, you lower the city down there into the dark and see what's going on down there. Newsflash, it's full of nope. So you go down there, and your character shoots balls. Now, the balls bounce. So you've got a couple of weird decisions here. You can just hit a button and you attack constantly. Kind of like, Vampire Survivors or something. But you shoot out from your character. If you shoot straight at the enemy, when the ball bounces off of them, it comes back to you. And then eventually you pick it up, you reload and fire again. But what if you fire it at an angle? It would go bing, 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 bing. It would hit a bunch of hits, right? However, while it's doing that, these guys are getting closer. So there's constant small decisions that you have to make on how you want to fire, because if I do this, DPS very high. If I do this, DPS is low, but it's all where I need it to be, which is the stuff getting closest to hitting me. Oh, by the way, the monsters are moving down the screen. If they reach the bottom of the screen, or if they make contact with you, you lose life. You lose all your life, you lose. As you are fighting, you get to choose balls. Like, one is Fireball. As it bounces off things, it leaves them burning. Fire Dot. Okay. Then there's like Wind or something, and they merged, and what did he made some new thing. There's also base building. In between the waves, you're building up the city, which is really cool. But like in one of and this is really cool. If you survive long enough, the game's like, this isn't hard enough for you. You see the walls? They widen and make more lanes. And it's like, oh god. But some of the way that stuff combines felt like Vampire Survivors, whereas, like, for examples, I got the frost ball and a fireball, and then I got a thing that fused them, and they evolved into a frost flame ball. And anything it hit would get chilled and burning. They would take damage, and they would take more damage from future attacks. Then I had a ball called a laser ball, and anytime it hit something, a laser beam would come down and hit that whole line, which you've seen a few of the clips already, where there was like a lot of like glowy lines all over the place. Those right there. So anytime the laser ball hits an enemy, the whole row it's on, or column, gets hit with a laser. So then I combined the laser ball with the frost flame ball, and every time it hit something, that whole column got set on fire and frozen and was taking damage over time. And it was stupid. And it was just like, there's so many combinations in this. it was crazy. And again, it reminded me of like the weapon combinations of Vampire Survivors and similar games to that. But that's where the that's where the similarities end. There's different characters you can play too. Like there's I only unlocked two during the hour or so I played at the demo. One of them was a guy that had terrible aim. Like his shots could go anywhere in a wide cone, but he shot very fast. The other one had much more precise aim, but it had a normal attack speed. There were boss fights as well. We only got to one of them during my time playing the demo, and as you can see, if you get far enough along, your attacks get crazy. Like you're just balls everywhere. You're shooting balls all over the place. God dang it, I had fun. This was such a weird, and I stand by it, stupid friggin' Bulbalon. This was such a stupid present, stupid idea, it feels like, but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. There was a surprising amount of depth to it. There was premise. Yeah, I couldn't talk. There was just a lot of depth to it. There was a lot of things to discover, different combinations you could do with all the ways that you could fuse, or there was fusion and fission and evolution, the different orbs, the town building, the bonuses, the different buildings gave each other, stuff like that. It was a simple, enjoyable little game. And that is Ball X Pit, for anyone interested in that one. By the way, all of these games, at the moment that I'm recording this, the demos are still free to play on Steam. You might be able to just download them and try it out if you like, for free, if you're interested. Next one, TerraTech Legion. This one was very interesting. So one, you're playing a person driving a car. There's different people, it doesn't matter. And the vehicle, every time you get enough resources from driving over these monsters that are all over the place, you pick up pieces from them. And you can combine them on your car every time you level up. And you could redesign the whole thing. None of these attachments are permanent. And you can change your vehicle and make it look like whatever you want.
Kurokun0014 aided my stream with 1 viewers.
Hey Kuro, thank you for the raid, appreciate that. And you can make your car just a giant tower. You can make it be incredibly wide or incredibly long, or have it just have like really wide 5 bumpers on the front of it, or 15 lasers on the back of it, or just oops all rocket launcher, whatever. Here's one that's got like a scorpion tail looking thing. We played this one for a while. This was when I was having a lot of fun. I had to tear myself away. This guy's obviously not doing too well here, but this was really fun. Again, similarities to games like Vampire Survivors and other Survivors games. Every time you level up, you get some choices to make. But in this one, it might be like, do you want another set of wheels? Do you want just some basic building blocks? Do you want another bumper? And the next choice might be like, do you want another basic gun? Do you want a drill on the front? Do you want a booster? Do you want a laser that hits the nearest target? Do you want a flat gun that just shoots forward periodically? Stuff like that. This one was very enjoyable, and I had a lot of fun playing this one. Next up, Hell Clock. This one reminded me of Curse of the Dead Gods, for anyone who has ever played that. Hell Clock is an action RPG. It is a roguelike. It's one of those where it's like a guy is trapped in, I don't know, for him it's like purgatory or something, and anytime he dies, he snaps back to the beginning and has to try again. Now, you can turn off there's a timer when you play it, and it's like you get as far as you can within that timer. But if that stresses you out, they have an option to turn it off, which feels kind of weird because the game's called Hell Clock, but you can turn that off if it stresses you out, and then you just go as far as you can. But you're playing this guy, and it is based on there was an intro to the game. I just played like 20 games in a row. Canudos. A massacre in Canudos, which was like a real life event, but this is a fictional story based off that event. I think the people in the game are mostly speaking Portuguese, I believe, but they've got English subtitles. But it was really good. I really enjoyed my time in this one. And it's kind of like you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of hold on a sec, I'm trying to think of it. It was the Marvel movie with Nicolas Cage. Oh my gosh. What is it? Ghost Rider. It was. It reminded me of Ghost Rider with the town that their souls were in the contract. It reminded me of that because of what was going on here. It was like a hellish version of what actually happened. But there are talent trees. When you finish, when you're doing runs and you find like artifacts, which are like really powerful items, if you get them out, you can use them on all future runs that you attempt to do, which reminded me of Halls of Torment, which was another survivors type game where if you could get items out, you could use them on all future runs. So there is multiple weapons. You're not like stuck to one thing. There's build craft, things like that. And it was really good. It was really good. I would happily pick this one up once it comes out. But again, if you are interested in maybe history buff, maybe if you like Curse of the Dead God, maybe if you like roguelike, anything like that, this one was really good. And yeah, that one once again is Hell Clock. When it comes out, would you play Witcher 4? Absolutely. I played Witcher 1, 2, and 3. Yes, I'll play Witcher 4. Next up is Moonlighter 2. Now, this is the sequel to a game called Moonlighter. I have never played. I did try it out because a lot of people recommended it. This one wasn't for me. However, I want to give it praise because this one ran incredibly well. It even said at the beginning, this is recommended for controller, and we detect your own mouse and keyboard. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But it's it's about a little guy who runs a shop during the day, and then he goes out adventuring at night. I do not know when he sleeps. And he basically goes out, gathers loot, and then he sells it in his shop. So it's kind of a two-part game. Part of it is action, and part of it is shopkeeping. And you try to build up your shop, be successful, and also go out and perform great acts of violence. The hustle never sleeps. Yeah, the hustle never sleeps. But it ran and looked so good. Again, it wasn't really for me. Like I was getting kind of bored of the premise, but it was looking really good, and I think it was praiseworthy. So I'm mentioning it now. The second to last one, Eclipse 2. You ever heard a premise that sounded really stupid, but then you tried it and it was really good? Eclipse is about medieval times, okay? Like knights and King Arthur and stuff like that. Like that time period. I don't know if King Arthur's in this. I'm just using it as an example. And there's a guy, and he comes home, and he tells his wife, he's like, I am going to stay home. I'm not going out on any more tours. And she's like, yeah, you've said that before. And he tells his son goodnight. And then they're abducted by aliens. I'm not joking. There is a horrific cutscene where the roof gets ripped off and they get pulled out the roof. And then he gets strapped to a table and they're experimenting on him and he's screaming. And it looks like a damn horror movie in the opening cinematic. And they cut his arm off to see what would happen. And they give him a cybernetic one. So he's got a robot left arm, and he doesn't understand any of this. There is someone who is basically freed him. I don't know if they're an alien too, because you only hear them on the radio. And they're trying to like guide him out. And this guy is freaking out. The voice actors did a really good job. IMO. This guy, they'll be like, hit the button. He's like, well, what is a button? What is this witchcraft? Like, he doesn't understand. He's from pre-electricity. He doesn't understand buttons. So he has got a robot left arm now. And he was already a strong fellow because he served in the military, knight in armor and all that stuff like that. And he is trying to survive what is apparently like an alien invasion of Earth during medieval times. And I played this one for about an hour and a half, I think, and it was pretty fun. Now, it is classified as an action RPG, and although the action is awesome, it has banging music, the combat feels really good. You can use WASD to move your character. By the way, in Hellclock, you can also use WASD or... both of these games, you can use WASD or mouse to move your character. I love that. WASD movement for the win. So I use WASD to movement for your character, use the mouse to control your attacks, stuff like that. There is light attacks, there is heavy attacks, there is dodge rolling. You get some weird abilities from your mechanical arm. The first one is kind of like a force push type thing, like a wind blast. Auto turn to face it. Yeah, yeah. So when you're using WASD to move your character, you automatically lock on to the nearest enemy, and then just clicking the mouse is a light attack. Holding the left mouse button is a heavy. You can bind dodge roll to whatever you want. I bound it to V because I'm a Guild Wars 2 player. And then there's a lot of story, and the amount of story in the hour and a half I played this was heavy. Okay, like there was more story than action. I didn't mind, but it was like, because of the volume of story, it almost felt like a CRPG, classic RPG, games like Baldur's Gate 3, Pillars of Eternity, stuff like that. But then when you do get in a fight, when that does happen, it's absolutely an action RPG. It's not like a turn-based game like Baldur's Gate or anything like that. But this guy's whole thing after like an hour is he's trying to find his family. His wife and his son are still missing after he managed to break out with the help of this mysterious voice on the radio. And he's got all the brains of a knight in that time period and a strong mechanical arm. And he's trying to find his family. And it was pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Radio, what's that? I say radio while they were apparently these aliens. Again, this is like tutorial spoilers. These aliens apparently abduct people and things from worlds they want to conquer and upgrade them like cyborgs and then send them out as troops. So they've got a whole bunch of weird stuff at their disposal. And there's now other humans in there too, and other animals and things that they grabbed from Earth. You have cybernetic bears. Holy crap. They put a chip in his head. It's supposed to control him, but this mysterious individual hacked into it, freed him from the control, and is now using it to talk to him. So he hears the voice of this, whoever they are, in his head. And that was as far as I got. But really cool game. I'd be happy to keep playing it. I never played Eclipse 1. I've never heard of it before now. But that is that one. And the last one I enjoyed, and again, there was another 5 to 10 games I played that I didn't really love. Either they had problems, or I was just like, this isn't for me. And I'm not going to talk about those because I don't think it does any good to just be like, I didn't like this. That's for people who hang out on Reddit. This one was called Davy Jones, or Davy X Jones is how it's listed on Steam. This one was really cool. Most of us know the premise of Davy Jones' Locker. Davy Jones was like a pirate, legendary pirate, and Davy Jones' Locker is like the bottom of the sea, or like pirate hell. And in this story, Blackbeard cut off Davy Jones' head. And that is Davy, the head, and that is Jones, the body. You play the body. So it is like a fantasy first-person shooter, except you've got your sword in one hand, the gun in the other, and the gun just kind of does what it wants. Sometimes it just shoots a bullet, sometimes it's a flamethrower. It just does what it wants. The head has got kind of like an octopus in it, so it's got a tentacle, and it can like grab onto things and distract them for you. It can go out and grab heals because you're connected spiritually, so it can go grab a heal while you're fighting for your life. You can shoot out a tentacle with your left hand and like grab onto things and like use that to kind of grappling hook yourself in. Yeah, it kind of felt like playing weird pirate hell Doom. Really cool. Very engaging story. We cleared the demo. It was like an hour long. But the story, the graphics, like if this game had like D&D stats, the charisma modifier is very high. Like I thoroughly engaged on the story, and I want to hear Davey tell me more. Like just talk to me more. He was a wonderful character, this freaking floaty head. And that was Davy X Jones. And again, the demos for these are still on Steam for free at the time we're recording this. And that's it. That's the last one. Obviously, I didn't play all of them. If you had a favorite that was in the pile that I missed, I'm sorry about that. There's like, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 demos on there. We probably visited 15 to 20 of them. And these were ones that I liked to, oh my God, I enjoyed it. Like, again, of these, my top ones where All Will Fall is probably really high up there. Ball X Pit and TerraTech are they were so silly, but they were really high up there too. And then all of the others that I listed were like, instead of being like S rank, like, oh my God, I'm hooked, maybe A rank. But yeah, yeah, that's it. This one's off the cuff. All the that I'm doing this isn't scripted. I just wanted to share this, plug these indie devs, and if any of these sounded like something that you might find cool, go wishlist their game or download the demo, play it for now for free if you want to. Wishlist the real game when just so that when it comes out you be notified, or when it's on sale you be notified, and that's how you support the indie devs if you are interested in their products. If not, then thanks for listening to me, gab. That's fine too. But that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed my foray into the demos, and I'll see you in the next one.